Coming up on Celtics Today by Chat Sports, I want to give you guys the latest on Sam Hauser's injury news. We do know that he got injured on Saturday's loss against the Memphis Grizzlies. But on the back half of the show, there is a media outlet out there that has proposed possibly a huge mistake for the Boston Celtics. So we'll break that down. I'll give you my opinion and give you guys the latest rumors on that. Before we jump into this, if you guys are ready for the Boston Celtics versus Detroit Pistons game tonight, go on ahead and hit that thumbs up button for me. I will be live for that ball game starting at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Come join me right here on Celtics Today, but let me know who's coming by liking this video. All right, let's go ahead and break down Sam Hauser's injury news. He did leave the game on Saturday with an adductor strain, and we know that he obviously has a little bit of injury so far this season, but he's not a starter for Boston, so it doesn't raise that extremely big red flag, but he is a prominent piece coming off the bench for Boston, so this could be really bad news moving forward as the Celtics continue to try to keep their win streak get back in action. The latest report that we saw here from Sam Hauser, Bobby did tweet out that Joe Mazzulla said yesterday that Sam Hauser, he's doing a little bit better with his strain, so we'll kind of see how he is today. He's going to try and go through some stuff today. We'll see how he responds to that for tomorrow. But then the latest report that did come out was the injury report ahead of the Pistons versus Celtics game. Sam Hauser, as of right now, is listed as doubtful. So I do not think Sam Hauser will play tonight, which is okay. We've beaten the Pistons before without Hauser. We've beaten them twice now. So if he doesn't end up playing, I'd rather him take as much rest as he does need, because earlier this season, Sam Hauser did miss 3 games with a back injury. He said that the back injury just randomly flared up. He had no idea where it came from, but they didn't want to push it, so they did decide to sit him for 3 straight games, which was very tough on Hauser because obviously these are not the stats that we're typically used to seeing Hauser put up. He's more of a double-digit scorer when he does come off the bench for Boston, but he's only played 20 games here so far. He's about 37% from a three-point line as well, which is the main reason for Hauser and his excellence here on Boston. He's just a spot-up shooter, 44% from the field. So when you have a guy like Hauser, I think it just allows the Boston Celtics to play a little bit better because you know you've got that kind of guy coming off the bench to relieve a Jason Tatum, to relieve a Jaylen Brown. And it really sucks for Hauser to have this injury at this point in his season because he was really starting to find his momentum with the Celtics. 2 games ago, he had 20 points. Last game, he had 16 points. And then, of course, the Memphis Grizzlies game, he did end up leaving, so it wasn't a big highlighted game for him. And we really could have used Hauser going up against Memphis. As we know, they were extremely physical. So like I said, when Hauser's able to come in and give that rest to Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, it does push the needle for the Boston Celtics. He's not a starter, but he has started before when other players are injured. I think Hauser is a very pivotal piece in this offense because when you do look at what he does when he is on the court, he has the team high, an absolute absurd 124 offensive rating when he's on the court. I mean, our points skyrocket when Sam Hauser is in the ball game and he's scoring buckets. Not to mention, we're currently 9-0 when Sam Hauser has 20-plus points, so it does actually go a long way when you've got a pivotal piece like that that's allowing him to come in. So if he's dealing with an injury, A, you don't want that. But B, you definitely don't want it to linger around because I think that when you got somebody like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on the same team together, that's what makes the Celtics so dominant. But when you have a bench player like Sam Hauser, like Peyton Pritchard, this is how the Boston Celtics survive ball games. So before I jump into the other news that I had to break down here for you guys today, I just want you guys to give Sam Hauser some love. I doubt he plays tonight, which is going to be tough. I love watching Sam Hauser absolutely dominate teams from downtown, but go on ahead, give him some love in the comment section by spamming your 30s as he hopefully does return soon. Up next, there is a media outlet out there that has proposed a trade for one specific player that I think is absolutely atrocious. And I'm going to break that down here in just a moment, but I want to make sure that you guys are getting your kicks on Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in America, because guess what? It is the holiday season, and a lot of our fantasy teams are now starting to wrap up. So if you guys want to make your own team, make your picks, and you can decide if you think you know ball on a player's projected stats. That's why I play Prize Picks, because the holidays, you can make them bigger and brighter with the #1 daily fantasy sports app. This is the best place to get real money while watching your favorite sports. And not to mention, throughout December, they're going to give you 2 free picks and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Pixmas. By signing up today, you get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. And while we do know the Boston Celtics play a little bit later, I decided to keep it all fresh and keep it all clean. I decided to go with Steph Curry and Mikal Bridges having the less and having the more here for Steph Curry. So these are my prize picks. If you guys want to go on ahead and make your own, it's super easy. All you have to do is just pick more or less on a player's projected stats, and you can win up to 200 times your cash. How to get started? That's the easy part. All you guys have to do is download the app and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize picks. Run your game. The latest proposed trade or trade rumor that is out there has the Boston Celtics trading away Derrick effing White. This is absolutely abysmal. And first and foremost, I just want you to chill the F out, okay? Number one, I don't agree with this. I'm going to break down why in a minute. But number two, the reason why people are now starting to bring up trades is because you've got some rumors out there saying maybe you don't need Holiday if you've got Pritchard. You've got some rumors out there saying the Boston Celtics are so expensive, how long can they go with this roster? So people are looking at some tradable assets, and they decided Derrick White was the best one. So why are we talking about trading a starter? Why are we talking about trading Derrick White at all? Let's break down the financial aspect of this. Number one, December 15th does open up the pretty much start date before the trade deadline. But when you look at what Boston's dealing with on the books right now in terms of money, that's where it starts to get a little bit iffy. So somebody brought up Derrick White in a possible proposed trade because right now the Boston Celtics are the third most expensive team in the NBA, and they had the largest payroll next season. So that's why somebody out here is saying, okay, we'll cut off a big chunk of that and let it be Derrick White. They're in the second apron with the new CBA, and you need to reduce your payroll at some point. So now somebody is starting to think, okay, well, there are a couple of teams that have set rumors out there, the Miami Heat, Golden State Warriors, Houston Rockets, Dallas Mavericks, Brooklyn Nets, saying, hey, we're open to talking about trades. But then SportsNews decided to put out a proposed trade that has Derrick White going to the Golden State Warriors. And what we get in return is, I can't even believe I'm addressing this. The proposed trade is Jonathan Kuminga, who is an absolute liability on offense, Brandon Podziemski, who is nowhere near half of Derrick White, and then Kevon Looney, who has been the most inconsistent player for the last two seasons when it comes to being in the paint. And all this for bald-headed, Mr. Clutch, love watching him play, Derrick White. This is an atrocious trade that I would never in a million years make. I don't think Brad Stevens should touch the roster this year, to be honest. I think you should deal with the money. You should deal with the new ownership for next season. If you go back-to-back, we're going to have a different conversation. But if I'm going to trade away anybody on this team, believe me, it's not going to be Derrick White. If I were to really make a trade rumor, I would say that Peyton Pritchard could possibly do what Drew Holiday is doing right now next season. The only person I would talk about trading in the starting five would either be Kristaps Porzingis because he is on an expiring contract, or Drew Holiday because Peyton Pritchard is emerging as an absolute star. That's it. And that's a completely different video. When you're talking about Derrick White, you're talking about the third best player on your team. You're talking about Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Derrick White. When you look at the Boston Celtics stats right now, Derrick White is ranked in second through fourth in every single category, which is saying a lot when you have the two highest paid players in the NBA. Two players right now in the MVP conversation alone ahead of you. He's third in points, he's third in rebounds per game, he's second in assists, and he's fourth in field goal percentage and second in three-point percentage. And this is all with players that have played over 20 games so far this year. When you look at his advanced stats, they show you how prominent Derrick White is when he is on the court for Boston and what he does on both sides of the basketball. Derrick White's defensive rating is fourth on the Celtics in players that have played over 20 games with 109.8. His net rating is 4th in the team, 11.4. Offensive rating is even better at 121.2. And his effective field goal percentage is 58.6, which is behind the Peyton Pritchards and the Sam Hausers of the world, who their only job is, well, at least Sam Hauser, is to come in and score the frickin' basketball. Derrick White is such an important part of how this Boston Celtics offense works. Because in my opinion, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are the best duo in the NBA because they complement each other. They don't overshine each other. But when you have Derrick White, who is scoring over 25 points in a game, I can almost guarantee you're going to win that ball game. He is the deciding factor. Because I have seen teams where Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are both excellent in their box scores. But if Derrick White has a bad game, it's going to be a tough win for the Boston Celtics. And when you look at what he can do on the opposite side, not the offense, but the defense, you're talking about a guy that can defend all 4 positions guaranteed, maybe 5, if you want to take in the fact that he is the best blocking guard under 6'4" in the NBA. He can block as tall as somebody like Giannis if he really wanted to, but his primary thing is that he can defend 4 out of the 5 positions, which goes an extremely long way for a guy like Joe Mazzulla that loves players that can play on both sides of the basketball. Not to mention, Boston has completely adapted him into his culture. This has nothing to do with how he plays basketball, but you're telling me Sam Adams, who just created a beer after this bald-headed, beautiful man, Brad Stevens is going to say, screw it, we're going to trade him to the Golden State Warriors? You have a Derrick White ale. Boston is not going to get rid of this man. Boston would almost riot if Brad Stevens decided to trade Derrick White in the middle of the season. And I am not inciting anything. I'm just saying. Boston obviously loves Derrick White. Derrick White loves Boston. This would be a really bad move, in my opinion, for Brad Stevens to make as a GM. I think it would be a ginormous mistake if Brad Stevens, everyone on the internet, and saw this proposed trade by SportsNews to trade Derrick White for Brandon Podziemski, Jonathan Kuminga, and Kevon Looney. That is a fat loss for the Boston Celtics. And the good news is, I think it's so bad, there's no way it'll ever happen. But I know, I have seen that out there a few times now. I wanted to address it here on Celtics Today and give you guys my opinion on it. I know the answer to this question, so I didn't even give you the other option. Do you want to trade Derrick White? It's either N for no or HN for hell no. I'm not getting rid of White. He's the last guy I would trade behind Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. But if anything does happen, maybe not with White, but anybody else on the Boston Celtics roster, I'll break it down right here on Celtics Today by Chat Sports News and unfortunate rumors we always talk about. So if you guys haven't already, go on ahead and subscribe.